Our Hawkeye season finale review and reaction starts right now. Guys, welcome back to the Jersey Comic Crew. Chris and Rob here as always with you. And today, of course, we are talking about episode 6 of Hawkeye.
Yes.
Everything's wrapped up in a bow for Christmas, Rob.
Me.
We had one of the best gifts we could get in this episode. And I am absolutely wondering what you thought of this episode, particularly compared to last week's big emotional episode.
So this one was full of action. It was fantastic. I loved the finale. I thought it was fantastic. You know, the big emotional weight of the last episode contrast to this one is great. Still, my favorite character from the last episode in this episode, Elena and Kate interacting with each other, was probably the best thing in this episode. Like, they're fighting. She slaps her in her face. She's like, "Huh, why'd you do that?" She's like, "I don't know." And then she gets on the buttons. And she's like, "This is really annoying." They're fighting to stop each other. And then she's like, "You want to go drink something?" She's like, "Absolutely. After I kill Clint." She's like, "Stop making me like you." Like, I love the connection between the two of them. It's so organic and real. It's funny. And it's also, like, targeting a younger generation. Like, when you see Tony and, like, Cap and everybody else, like, have those funny moments, it's like, oh, dad jokes and all the older dads. But, like, this is, like, everybody's enjoying this. Like, I can't stop but watch it. And I want to watch it again just for them to.
Yeah, I want more of them, and I hope we see more of them together in the future as, like, these legacy characters, right? She's the next Black Widow, Kate's the next Hawkeye, and them together, like you said, is organic, and they're close to the same age, I think, in real life. I think they're like 22 and 24.
Oh, wow.
So that's really close in age, but I love especially the line where she's like, "Why? I hate that you're making me like you," and she's like, "I know, I can't stop it."
I have a question about them for you.
Yeah.
There's no after credit scene except it's just the elongated musical thing.
Oh God, it was so annoying.
Which I like musicals. I was fine with it, but then if you're doing that, you have to give me something else because I was like, there's no.
Why wasn't Kingpin in the audience? Just give me the big guy in the audience.
I was expecting somebody in the audience the whole time, and I was like, all right, they just showed some conductor guy. I don't care about you, right?
Yeah.
That was a little upsetting. My thinking to how great would it have been to have an after credit scene where Elena and Kate are at a bar. Or like right after, like kind of like a Schwarmer thing from Avengers 1. I thought would have been a lot of fun, but that's just...
that would have been cool. I think it would have taken away a little of the emotional resonance that Elena has by the end of the episode, though. It's kind of tough to just be like, yeah, let's go get drinks. Because she's kind of, devastated from this news. And, part of me was watching this and with her fight with Clint, I was kind of waiting. I was like, all right, it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. When is it going to happen? We only have an hour. We have a lot to cover. Like, let's go. And we got that, but we also kind of got this kind of like, hey, he's telling you the truth and you're still beating the hell out of him. Why? And she kind of says it, right? She's like, you got so much time with her and I got no time with her.
Yeah, she couldn't accept it. The whole show and the whole like final battle was like both of them trying to accept what happened to Natasha. Clint more from a place of grief, right? And then Elena more from anger. She's taking it out on Clint. And Clint, I think, kind of knows that, and that's why he's not fighting as hard, because I still think Elena would beat him in a fight, but I think it'd be much closer than what we were seeing, right? So he kind of knows, like, hey, yeah, listen, you're not gonna believe me. Like, this is what happened. She did this. She did this for you. He did the whistle at the end. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of cathartic to see them both get over the trauma.
Yeah, or at least face it, right? Like, at least start facing the trauma. And I do like that he was like, you wouldn't believe me if I told you the specifics, because it's ridiculous, right? Like, and as the audience, there's no time to sit there and rehash what happened in Endgame. Mm-hmm. So I like that he was just like, listen, she sacrificed herself. Like, I tried to make it me. I like that it kind of got through to her, the stuff Kate said in the last episode with him being a good man, and actually being a hero, and her actually liking Kate, right? Like, she likes Kate. She's not killing Kate. Like, Kate slaps her in the face and they're beating the hell out of each other. And she's like, I like when you did the flip. She's like, was it good?
Like, she's like, oh, thank you.
Yep. So, like, now I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, is she going to train her like to be like Black Widow combat style with a bow?
You never know.
That kind of combines like the void of Natasha that Clint's filling with Kate, this new partner, as well as another sister for Elena and Kate, which would be an amazing thing to see going forward. But one of the things I want to ask you about is, as much as I did like this episode, I found it a little jumpy in pace. And the reason is because, like, right off the bat, right? Like, I love when Marvel does this. They don't wait. They're like, here's Kingpin, first shot. and he's talking, and
Yeah.
that's all you want for 45 minutes. Miss Bishop, hello, and I'm like, oh my god, I forgot how much I loved him. But
Yeah, as soon as he said Miss Bishop, hello, I was like, the episode could end here, and I'm fine.
yeah, we're done. Me and
We're
Rob,
done,
10
I'm
out of 10. So like, but the question is still like, you have all these heavy emotional things that go on in a lot of these shows in the background, right? Kind of this PTSD war stuff, a lot of grief, a lot of death, and then like, because it's Disney, sometimes they just lighten it up a little too much and try to make it a little too campy. And I think that clashed a little bit for me in this episode.
I definitely understand the clashing of those two elements. I think they're still trying to find a way to do that in the Marvel style without being too dark. Like some of the Netflix stuff, yes, it's very dark. But also you have Kate Bishop is like one of the main heroes. So with that, you have to carry a certain levity to that because you're trying to get that audience. You don't want to do too dark too quick with her and the Kingpin. Talking about your pacing issue, I agree with that. Some parts were jumpy. Talk about the final fight scene. Everybody like pairs up, right? Like Echo comes in like out of nowhere, it seems.
Yeah.
I think it goes to time. They didn't just have enough time. I think this episode could have been and should have been an hour and a half, or a true hour, or a true like hour 20 minutes. I think if you increase that runtime a little bit, kind of give us like a small movie feel at the end to kind of wrap it up, I think that would have been fine. With me saying that the pacing issue was a little bit janky, I think all the points that they needed to hit within a good amount of time period, they did.
Yeah,
it was just still a little upsetting, the Echo out of nowhere, and
to set up her own show, basically.
To set up her own show, like she has to kill Kazi, which I didn't see that coming, but that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like the whole Kingpin Kazi aspect felt a little rushed because they had to get the Elena stuff in there. But I still enjoyed the hell out of Kingpin and Elena, the Kazi, the whole setup for the Echo show.
Yeah, I think Elena is one of the best characters we have in this new Marvel universe right now, with all the characters that are not with us anymore as far as in these movies and films and shows. But also, like, I'm so happy Kingpin's back. It's Vincent D'Onofrio, and he hasn't like missed a beat, right? Like, it's the same style. So I don't know if you noticed, but that whole first scene, Kingpin's talking to Eleanor, his eye is twitching.
I did,
And at first I was like, oh, like, because that happens, especially if you wear glasses, like me all the time, most of the time, your eyes will like twitch sometimes. You get like a eye pulse. And I was like, oh, is that involuntary? Did they not catch it? But then as the conversation went on, and she was like, no, I'm not going to think about it. I'm out. Like, my daughter means more to me. And he was clearly getting angrier. He started doing like almost like a face twitch, like where he's holding in the rage. And I'm like, oh, that's on purpose. Like, he did this on purpose.
I'm so glad he brought that up, because Kingpin throughout this whole episode was great. He did feel a little soft. And what I mean by that, in the beginning with Eleanor, like, it's the spirit of the holidays. He's doing that. You can still see the little twitch. He's wearing like a Hawaiian Christmas kind of shirt. He's obviously like,
love it,
in a good mood or a softer mood right now. Maybe he's thinking about his past wife. Maybe it's just because he's in the show, or it's Christmas and he's actually just succumbing to Christmas. That's fine. But then throughout the rest of the episode, like even to like when he's fighting Kate, right? Like, I think it's because Kate's a young girl. He still is soft. Like, we can see him. He's still holding back, and stuff with Maya. He still does love Maya, but he also knows that he has to control her. So it's this whole complex emotion that he's battling between himself. I think that was expressed here, if you paid attention carefully, right? Like him fighting Kate, him always throwing her. If you notice, he always pushed her, throw her, maybe one or two punches, but that was the main thing, was like to get the little one away from him so he could go kill Eleanor, right? Yeah. We didn't see him do the snap, right? And what I mean by snap is like go over there and snap really from like Wilson Fisk, this bad guy that kind of is holding back. You don't really know why, to like, I'm evil, I'm gonna kill her in my hands. I mean, he got hit by a car. Like, you saw the strength of brutality, but I think that he was holding back and didn't snap fully just because of the complicated family dynamics mixed with Christmas. Maybe that's just me being naive.
I don't think it has anything to do with Christmas. I don't think he gives a damn about holidays and merriment.
Probably not.
I think it was he didn't take her seriously as a threat. Like, he didn't see her as an actual threat, so he's like throwing her off from like he hits the shit out of her in the stomach, and she goes flying into some toys, but she was like an annoyance, right? It's like a bee that won't leave you alone. And she does the arrow where it like closes the hole for him to go after Eleanor.
Smart.
She hits him. the only way to take him down was to activate all of her arrows, and I love that she did the snap.
If you notice, it was with his like
with his cufflink
that she stole from that last jump, which I liked a lot.
I like that a lot too. But yeah, I think he's still brutal Kingpin. I just think everything was going fine, and in the span of one day, right? Eleanor backs out.
Mm-hmm.
He has this whole situation with his tracksuits. He has a whole situation with Kate, and now this situation with Maya, who shoots him. So I think he just had a really bad day. I love that he had the Hawaiian shirt. It's right out of the comic books.
Yeah.
And I think that's the ruse, right? Like, it's part of the MCU being like, oh, look, he's in a Hawaiian shirt. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. No, he's a psychopath.
So speaking about people who aren't a bad guy, Jack Duquesne's character, we talked about this a couple of times throughout the show, and we were like, oh, maybe he's playing the fool because of this and this. After watching this, I think he is the fool, right? I don't think he realizes what's going on. He's like, oh, why are we doing this, my love? Unless that's going to be revealed in the Echo show. But at the end, just sword slicing everything, and then the great moment, this is my time. And he takes out the rapier, and he runs outside. Like, I loved it. It was so fun.
Like he's from a different time. Like, he portaled in from, like, a Renaissance fair. I love that he also mixed in with the LARPers so well.
Yes.
Like, the LARPers were there, like, as their, like, plants to be, like, servers. And I was like, oh, that's so good. But with Jack, I'm just confused, man. Like, I think the audience is confused as he is half the time.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen a guy so happy to go to jail, so happy that his, bride-to-be wife is sending him to jail. I still think there's an ulterior motive with Jack. I don't think he's still totally innocent. I think he's involved in something. I think he's playing the fool on purpose. I still think there's something underneath, whether we know right now or we'll find out in a later season of something. But I thought it was interesting how he just was back, and even Kate's like, "You're back already?" He's like, "Yeah, like, of course I wasn't going to miss a party." But I got the sword already in the hilt.
I could definitely see her. Let me rephrase that. I could definitely see him and Eleanor having something in the background. Mm-hmm. One of the things I did want to mention, it was almost a throwaway scene until it clicked to me who this character was.
Sure.
So when Jack is in the ambulance, like looking at his blood and talking to one of the LARPers, Wendy, right?
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh, you ever think about LARPing?" He's like, "Is that some leisurely exercise?" Like, "Oh, we could go do this." And those other characters, Wendy Conrad in the comics is this villain called Bombshell, specializes in bombs and throwing stuff. So what if Jack maybe not necessarily is altruistic and good, and he maybe recruits her or like trains her to kind of become this vigilante, this anti-hero, this villain under his wing? I don't think he's as clean as we say. So if it's like, oh, you're dirty, oh, now you can get Wendy Conrad as Bombshell, who's like a F-list hero guy, villain. Mm-hmm. Don't even worry about who that is, right? So what if, like, secretly, like, he's gonna build this rogue team of assassins or mercenaries to kind of do what he wants for Eleanor, and Eleanor finally transitions from her character to Madame Mask, and this is like the Madame Mask Empire, where Swordsman, Bombshell, and all these other weird people.
Maybe. I think it's tough with the fact that we have Valentina building a team right now.
Too many people building teams.
And there's a lot of teams, right? Like, Marvel's full of teams. The Avengers are rebuilding. There's possibly a Young Avengers. We know the X-Men are coming through sometime. Fantastic Four. Those are all teams. Yeah, sure. Like, it's a lot of teams. And with villains, yes and no sometimes. Like, I think with Bombshell, I think it's just kind of a throwaway, like, Easter egg for uber comic fans, right?
Okay, I can see that.
I think the focus is more on Jack and Eleanor as far as, like, oh, we can see this progress further, right? Jack is kind of like figuring this out. Jack could totally be hiding in a Renaissance fair or a LARP fair with these guys.
Why not?
And be like, I'm pretending to be just a nice guy, and I'm actually an evil man.
Yeah.
And we're doing this as a leisurely activity. But, like, now you have Eleanor, too, who's going to jail.
Yes.
By her daughter. And she's like, really, on Christmas? You're going to... And it's this... And the thing that I feel like what's going to turn Eleanor isn't just the fact that her daughter sent her to jail and she's going to become Madame Mask and become, like, this evil empire person, but the fact that it's the thing she couldn't get out of Kate her whole life.
Oh,
and that was...
okay.
Kate knew she wanted to be a hero. She knew she wanted to be just like Hawkeye. And no matter how much money her mother possessed or the opportunities or the, the foot in the door stuff that society has, it didn't matter. Kate knew exactly what she wanted to do and be, and her mother could never change that from her. And that is what I think is her mom's biggest problem.
The last thing I want to mention, and the thing that probably gave me the most amount of joy in this episode, was that Hawkeye Clint made it home for Christmas. He brought 2 strays in, Lucky the dog and Kate the Bishop. And he brought them home with everybody to have a Merry Christmas. Everybody's together. They bury the Ronin. And they teased like what's her name gonna be. We're working with everybody, and it was just so good to see that we did get a happy ending.
Yeah, like in my head I was like, there's no way he misses Christmas, right? After all this, at least after everything this poor guy's been through, regardless of the mass murder he spent on a 5-year killing spree in Madripoor, but like you got to get him home for Christmas.
Yeah.
I thought that was nice, and it also asked so many questions, which guys we will definitely talk about in some future videos.
Yes, guys. So if you want to hear all thoughts on what we think is going to happen in the future of Hawkeye and Kate, a future of Kingpin, and all that and more, stay tuned in the next coming days. We're going to have those videos. We just want to make sure we have all the information ready for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching our video. If you have liked this episode that we have recorded, or if you like the episode of Hawkeye, let us know down in the comments below.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up, really helps the channel out a lot. If you're new, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're not done with Hawkeye. We got a couple more to go. And if you missed anything, make sure you check it out on the channel right here. And as always, I'm Chris Heller. That's Rob Moran with the Jersey Comic Crew. And we'll see you next time.